Okay, folks, it is just about almost, not quite, 7 o'clock here on Tuesday, March the 11th, 2025. This is a regular meeting of the Meyersdale Borough Council. We'd like to welcome everyone in the chambers and those watching on our YouTube station. So we'll call the meeting to order, and Councilman Ackerman would like to make an announcement for everyone.
Yeah, excuse me. Jenny called me today. She said it was not good news. She does have cancer, and she just hopes that everybody will keep her in their prayer. I said, well, I'm sure we will. Also, Clarence Bear, he's up in the nursing home with his femur broken, and he's trying to get better. And so remember him also in prayer.
Thank you, Ron. With that announcement, let's rise for the flag ceremony, and then Olivia, our student representative, will give the opening prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Father, thank you for all that you do for us each and every day. Be with us here tonight as we conduct the business of our town. Please provide us with clarity in our discussions and decisions that may reflect the best interests of our community. May everything that is done here tonight be according to your will, your purpose, and for your glory. And may we also keep Clarence and Jenny in our prayers. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Olivia. Patty, the roll call, please.
Mr. Ackerman.
Here.
Mr. Baer.
Here.
Mr. Baker.
Here.
Mrs. Nagy. Here. Mr. Irwin.
Here.
Mrs. Kinnearium is absent. Mr. Smith.
Here.
Solicitor Valentine.
Here.
Mayor Smith.
Here.
Brian Ryber.
Here.
And Tim Prince is absent.
Thank you, Patty. The minutes, we have two sets of minutes to approve from February the 11th and February 25th. The 11th was our regular scheduled meeting, and February 25th was a special meeting dealing with handicap accessibility and some situations we have with the municipal authority, which we're going to discuss both of those later this evening. So I read through them, could find no qualms or trepidations. Does anybody have any questions? If there are no questions, corrections, or additions, I'll ask for a motion to approve both minutes.
Make that motion.
Ron makes a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Terry, the finances.
Okay, the general fund tonight, we have $17,634.01, and we need to make a motion to pay the bills of $4,013.50. I'll make that motion.
And a second.
Second.
Okay, give it to Karen. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's a unanimous vote.
I did have some questions on finances when Terry's done. Okay. In your packet, you'll see the pavilion rental fees. So if I understand this right, under the gym rental fees, we charge $15 an hour for the use of the gym, and that hasn't changed since the borough took over the building. When was that? Like 15 years ago?
More than that, I think.
I think we've been up here 12, 13 years.
I mean, I think we ought to take a look at what we're charging in fees. I mean, we had a $4,000 gas bill the month before. We had a $3,000 something gas bill this month. I mean, we have a lot of operational costs. So I didn't know how everybody felt about that, but it feels light. If you think about the pavilion down even on the ball field, I mean, we've had vandalism. I don't know that we need to charge our citizens for that, but you know, we had to replace a door down there last year. We had like $1,500 and tweaks down there. We have this other damage from the vandalism, a few $1,000s to get fixed. I think those two fees, the pavilion and the gym rental fees, are a little light. But what's everybody else think?
Well, I think we should ask Patty. It's not really on the agenda, so if we would make a decision, I think we should punt this to the April Finance Committee meeting Karen requests that we reevaluate the gym rental and the pavilion fees, and then we could discuss it in session. I think that would be appropriate instead of spending a lot of time on it this evening.
Okay, I have a couple other questions. Then we have this general fund contingency account with $47,000 in it. What's the interest rate? And I think I've asked this before, but why is that separate from our money market?
That was set up several years ago when Bud Edmonds was here. And it was just to make sure that there was some money laying around so that we had something to do with the furnace. I think it even started when we were in that other building that you own now.
Karen, we had in fact discussed that, and council, right or wrong, had felt that we didn't want to put everything in one pot, and we didn't want to touch the contingency fund. So that was discussed in the past. I mean, again, we could revisit that if you wish. I would say, let's discuss that at the financial meeting in April.
And can we get the interest rates on both and just compare? And then the last thing I had was, the last thing under our accounts is the building renovation fundraising account, which has $8,100 in it. I don't understand how that's different from the community center fund. I know Jeff, I think the one with $10,000 in it, I think is Jeff's for the gym and all of that. I just don't know the difference between the building renovation and the community center fund.
The community center funds is the account where all the gym rental fees go. The $8,000 one is what's left in Jeff's fundraising.
Okay, so this is Jeff's.
That explain it, Karen? Terry, continue with your
All
report.
right, next the one for finances would be the presentation of the 2024 audit.
You know, what we usually do, the meeting is being videotaped, so if you would stand at the podium there, that would be nice. We would appreciate it very much. If you feel you want to walk around in front of council, that's fine too.
Okay, so I'm here representing the Ring Company. We performed the audit for 2024, which is done in accordance with the requirements of the Pennsylvania DCE, the reporting that they're required to have done every year. For those of you that have the packets in front of you, I'll reference as I'm going along different page numbers and find that in the report. So overall for the year, everything was pretty much what I would say is status quo. You didn't have any new funds that you're reporting on, and there was no accounting guidelines or anything that went into effect that changed any of your accounting policies. So from that standpoint, a pretty typical year for you. Starting with the auditor's report on page 1, it starts at the top with our opinions that we've issued, and as I pointed out in prior years, it will show that you have both the qualified and unmodified opinions. The qualification comes, this has been going on for the past probably 10 years or so, that you do not have the your one pension account, the PMERS pension account. That information is not available to be included in your financial audit, so that is omitted from your report, which is why you have this qualification. On all of your other fund reporting, and you did receive a clean, unmodified opinion. Okay, and then the bottom section of there goes on, this starts on page 2, under the basis of accounting, and this specifies some of the differences in your reporting, which is the under the regulatory basis required under the DCD prescribed form of accounting, which differs from general accounting principles. And this paragraph just highlights some of those differences. Okay, and then looking at numbers, so if you go to page 4, which is your balance sheet, and as we've said before, these are not issued comparatively, so you just have the single year. So I'll go through and mention some of the differences looking at 2024 compared to the prior year, 2023. And to go ahead and mention some of these for you, you'll see that you have amounts reported under 4 different funds: your general fund, the enterprise fund, which is your garbage collection, the trust and agency, which is your Somerset Trust pension activity, and then special revenue, which is everything other than those other 3 funds. Total assets for the year went down about $71,000, and that's gonna be mostly a decrease in your cash, and you'll see whenever we start looking at the revenue and expenditures that you did have losses, which was why you had a decrease in cash for the year. Liabilities, which is a total on page 5, that was about the same from the previous year. Okay, and then the statement of revenues and expenditures, this begins on page 6 with the revenues. Again, this is in their prescribed format, so it's broken down into these different categories. Overall, your revenue was very comparable to the previous year. It went up about $5,000. So, and I think that was probably expected. I mean, you didn't really have any changes. Your real estate tax millage stayed the same. So a lot of your revenues were very comparable between the 2 years. Okay, and the revenues are reported on pages 6 through 10 of this report. So then if you go to page 10, it starts your expenditure section, which is on pages 10 through 12. And this is where we're seeing some differences between the 2 years. Overall, your expenses went up about $156,000. So there was, in the very first section under general government, that went up about $36,000 from the previous period. And this was from a lot of renovations you did in the building in 2024. The next section under public safety, this went down about $114,000. So you had considerably less expenditures for your police department in 24, less wages paid out. And I'm thinking you maybe purchased a vehicle in 2023. So those expenditures decreased from the previous year. Okay, and then the big increase is going to be under the Public Works, Highway, and Street section. This went up about $188,000, and this was a large road project that you completed in 2024. Okay, so looking at totals, if you go to the very bottom of page 14, you can see your overall net profit loss reported for each of the funds. General fund, you had a net increase in revenues over expenditures of $38,163. Special revenue was a loss of $101,975. Again, that's going to be mostly from that road project. From your garbage fund, $19,538 loss. And then the fiduciary fund, which is your Somerset Trust pension, was $13,400. So the investments in that fund did surpass what you paid out through the year. And then the next page, page 15, this is your debt statement. No new loans taken out, so you still have your 2 loans, the one with Somerset Trust and the other one with First National Bank. You paid off principal throughout the year of $25,765, and your debt owed at the end of the year is right around $43,000. Okay, so that's kind of some numbers for you summarized. And then in a separate letter that we issue to you as management is where we identify any deficiencies that we found whenever we were conducting our audit. And we have 3 of those. 2 of these are the same, they're recurring, that I've mentioned to you in the previous years. The first one is the preparation of the financial statements, and that is the fact that you, as management, are not doing that. We, as the auditor, are doing that. That is considered to be a deficiency, but as I pointed out, that is a common one because most smaller organizations do not have a CPA on their personnel to perform or to complete those. The second item that we noted, again, this is a recurring finding, and this is a lack of segregation of duties, and this is the fact that the secretary is the one that's performing all of the accounting. That is considered to be a threat just from a lack of segregation of duties. Again, this is a very common one in smaller organizations. And then the final one that we have, whenever we did the 2023 audit, we had a number of adjusting entries, and these were not posted in the general ledger. It was just kind of an oversight matter that they weren't posted. So this resulted in some of the beginning balance sheet items not being adjusted to the prior year audited amounts. So we just reported a journal entry to get those corrected.
Excuse me one second.
Yeah.
Hey, Clarence, would you please mute yourself? We're getting a beep, and then when you want to speak, just don't forget to unmute. Would you do that, please? Go ahead. Sorry.
That's good. That's all I had. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Thank you. If there's no questions,
I
Karen?
do. Under 406, you said a lot of them were building renovations. At $110,000?
That's gonna be the amount that I know that's reported under the special revenues for building renovations. I think some work done to the gym.
That was only how much, Tom? 12 grand?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, like, 406, I'm sorry, I'm down 409. I don't know what all goes into 406 offhand, and that one that's comparable to what it was in the previous year. The big increase in this category is under 409 for your different repairs. I think we looked at the 406 before, and I'd have to go back and look to see what all expenses fall under there. I think, insurance and different, but I can't say it offhand.
Any other questions from the audience for our auditor? This is something we go through every year. It's mandated, and they've always done a good job for us. So hearing no questions, thank you very much, and have a safe trip home.
Thank you.
You can stay as long as you want, but you can leave right now if you want to also.
All right, thank you all.
Okay, at our committee meeting last week, we had a gentleman here, gave us a presentation on the per capita and occupational tax. Did he give us some information, Jeff?
Yes, he did, Terry, and I think what came out of that meeting, if you're interested, watch the March 6th committee meeting. It was about a 20-minute presentation. And I thought what we wanted to do tonight would be hear if Patty has any comments first. And if not, then we should have a discussion if in fact, and I recommend it, that we do vote to engage with Keystone Collections for our per capita tax, since the county is no longer doing it. So that's without getting into the whole hullabaloo that we went through Thursday night. That would be my suggestion, that we have a discussion with council members. This is council now only. And if we feel that we want to, and Olivia, you can talk to your council. And then my suggestion would be we just go ahead with the Keystone. But before we'd ask for a motion, I'd just like to hear if any council members have any discussions. Hearing none, then could we have a motion that we do engage with the Keystone Collections? I think they have a pretty good reputation in the county. They do our earned income. They work for the school, and I've really had no problems with them on my professional level. So, motion. Okay, Terry and Karen. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. So you'll contact them tomorrow, Patty, and let John, right? John Pinkerton, and let him know what we had decided, and we want to move forward. We're going to try not to change anything, at least for this first year, as far as the rates and things like that. I thought that was discussed also.
Okay.
Could you go back and do the motion to accept the audit report?
Yes, we'll do that, Terry and Karen. Again, all those in favor say aye of the auditing report. Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you, Patty.
All right, one last thing, unpaid zoning hearing fees.
Okay, I had asked Patty, the solicitor, and I had discussed this too. We had two individuals that just simply did not pay their zoning hearings. So we sent a bill out to each of them. One, in fact, did pay, but we still have one other delinquent account. So what I would like to suggest is our solicitor's advice We send them a couple bills, however many is appropriate, and then we either take them to the magistrate or we put a lien on their property, similar to what we would do with derelict garbage bills. So, but I think it sets a poor example when people aren't paying. These zoning hearings cost money, and I think if we're going to have one, we want to be reimbursed properly. How would you move forward with that, Mark?
I think we should probably talk about that in a short executive, just how to proceed.
Okay.
That's all I have, Jeff.
Okay, guests, Deb Fisher. Deb is not here. I did ask her to come or have Mark give us a report on the dog noise complaint, and I think Mark is prepared to do that right now.
Never saw anybody dodge the look before.
Well, I thought he was looking for somebody behind me, so I'd get out.
I was just waiting to see if,
She was fell over.
didn't want to miss anybody.
So the council can, it is a private and a public nuisance. It's a public nuisance because I believe it does affect more than one landowner. The council can take action. I would suggest we send them a letter to cease and desist at first. I can send it, and if they don't do that, then we'll have to take them to the court of common pleas because it's an injunction. It isn't a regular complaint, but they violated not only the ordinance, but the noise is crossing across property lines, which amounts to a nuisance.
Any questions on that?
Is there clarity in what defines a nuisance and what defines, like, I know there's a quiet time from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Is this in reference to that period of time or to a daily time?
So nuisance is a little different than what you see in like a normal ordinance with respect to whether it be decibels or things like that. Nuisance involves, first of all, can be light, dust, noise, different things like that. As long as it crosses across the property line and it somehow affects the use and enjoyment of the neighboring properties. So when it affects that use and enjoyment, it becomes a little bit subjective because they have to determine, the court has to determine what kind of effect does it have. So for example, if you think of like an industrial complex near a home and the people can't use their outdoor living areas, that's it. If it causes any kind of economic distress for a business would be one. So there has to be some type of measure of damages involved for it to apply. So for example, if you had people that were next door to you and they made some noise, but it really didn't affect you going outside, it didn't affect your use and enjoyment of the outside parts of your home or the inside parts, and it had no economic effect, even though a nuisance might be occurring, it would be considered de minimis.
Okay.
I don't know how much that actually helped you, but.
Well, it's like, I just know that there's, like I said, I know there's a quiet time from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
And the ordinance deals with that. Yeah.
I'm just trying to get clarity on what's acceptable, within the time.
Do you know what? I'm going to ask you, stop, and then you can speak anything you want for 5 minutes during public comment. We usually don't go back and forth. If you'd like to address this further, we're going to do public comment. We'll give you 5 minutes. You can come up here, introduce yourself, and you have 5 minutes to ask us questions or make remarks. If you didn't, but we want to move on
I can
here.
probably reach out and get individual clarity. I don't have to necessarily do it in the meeting.
Okay, however, I just want to keep moving a little bit here.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
sir.
No problem. Thank you. Susie Decker and Dr. Gray.
Thanks. Can I preach?
Yes, you have 5 minutes.
You can even ask for volunteers for the festival while you're over there.
Yeah, I'm looking for volunteers.
Yeah.
Got a piece of paper, Patty, and just send that around, everybody can put their name on it, and I'll take care of that. But good evening, I am representing the Pennsylvania Maple Festival. Dr. Patrick Gray could not be here tonight because it's his rotation night. What we're asking for as the festival, Dr. Gray has a Civil War reenactment group. They are from the local area. Basically, the regiment was from the Civil War, and it was people from Meyersdale, Berlin, Garrett, and all that. So now they have a multitude of reenactors in this group. They are coming the second weekend of the festival. Last year they were here, 15 tents and about 20 guys or so. They wanted to do demonstrations, but we are limited, as everybody knows, is what ground we have in the festival. We're asking for use of the playground area where it's an open area. We've looked, we basically think between the playground and the pavilion, they want to do like military maneuvers, drills, maybe. I wish he was here because he could say yes or no. Blank shooting of muskets, drills, things like that. We want to do it the Saturday and the Sunday of the second weekend. We want to announce certain times. So they could go down, anybody that wants can go down and watch them. I'm not sure how long this will last, not very long. But we'd like to use the playground because that way people would come. We're hoping when they're done, they'll come up, they'll come eat pancakes, they'll go over to the quilt show, they'll buy syrup, they'll wander around. But he would like, he doesn't want to do it. They do have, if you're asking, I do know they have a certificate of liability. That was something he was supposed to bring tonight, but he didn't get it to me. We can get it to you, but that's the 2 weekends we want to use, maybe at the most 3 demonstrations, one Saturday morning, because they want to march in a parade, one Sunday morning, but consider it of church, and then one Sunday afternoon. But we
The
did-
same Sunday,
Yes.
2 in 1 Sunday.
2 in 1 Sunday, but we'll be considerate of church, because we don't want to scare the churchgoers. But that's what we'd like to do, but we don't want to move forward with actually what we're doing. They'll come no matter what. But we'd like the A-OK before we get into more specifics with them.
Let's have a discussion. Karen?
As long as we get the certificate of insurance,
You'll have one from the festival, and you'll have one from that group. So you will get 2. Patty probably already has one from us for different things. But we can specify on one for the playground. That's no problem.
the more activities, the better. So I make the motion.
Let's wait for more. Any other comment?
Are they charging anything?
No,
Festival?
no. In fact, Dr. Gray was gracious enough the last 2 years, him and some of the members, they gave money for the Queen's Scholarship Saturday night. So they charge us nothing, we give them nothing. It's all free on both sides.
Any other discussion or questions? Karen did make a motion. If there's no other discussion, we'll move forward with a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? 100%.
Thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
see us.
Sue, thank you for all you do for the town and for the
I'm looking for
festival.
volunteers.
Look good. I think she likes you too.
I'm already signed.
You lost cause.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Have a good evening.
Okay. Is Angie Benning? Yes. Come up here, please. You have 5 minutes. All righty, and we'll get set up there. Ready? Go.
Okay, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Angie Benning. I actually own Successful Beginnings here at the daycare in Meyersdale. So I wanted to come and approach the council tonight regarding maybe modifying some of their zoning for businesses like daycares, maybe churches, just so we could protect ourselves against casinos, dispensaries, possibly even distilleries. There are a lot of open buildings in the area, and people are coming in, people are going out. So I just wanted to see if there would be a way that maybe we could reduce zoning so the daycare would be safe, maybe so many feet from the daycare, they couldn't put a dispensary, a distillery, or a casino in. Because I worry about, not only as a business owner, but as a parent and as a grandparent, my grandkid going to the daycare, that if that was to be put in near the daycare, that we would probably lose a lot of our business with that hanging, people hanging around that kind of business. Plus, we are already limited on the space that we have for our parking, for the parents to drop off their kids in the morning, pick them up. If something like that would go in close, then we would be in big trouble.
I'm gonna let Mark comment in a minute,
Okay.
but we had the situation, but it really wasn't a reality, but a neighboring community had a strip club, topless. So we researched that, and we do have some restrictions. I'm gonna let Mark speak to that right now, but they can't be too close to a daycare, I believe, a church, but I'm gonna let the boss here respond to you. And then we'll go back and forth if you have a question or two, because this is important.
Yeah, I mean, the adult stuff is restricted, but the dispensaries and the casinos aren't restricted underneath our current zoning ordinance. And our current zoning ordinance is, what, 20 years old, 20-ish years old? And the districts are older than that because it did the studies before it was passed. So I think it would be a good idea if the council would look at maybe updating the districts according to the businesses that exist today and trying to lay those out, which takes an ordinance to amend what we currently have. And it can probably be done without really too much hassle, but yeah.
I would appreciate that as a business owner.
So how do we move forward? I'll tell you what, why don't we put this on our, again, Finance Committee meeting, which will be held the Thursday before the second Tuesday. They're broadcast on YouTube, or you can come in here the Tuesday in April, the Thursday before the second Tuesday, and we'll put it on the agenda, and maybe Mark will have had a chance to research and see what our liability or what we're allowed to do, basically. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, that takes care of the guests. We'll open up public comment. Public comment. Last Chance Saloon. Sure you don't want to? Okay, public comment is now over. President's report. I do have a report that I'd like to give this evening on the past and the handicap accessibility of this building, things that the former council have worked on. The first thing I would like to say on this score is the ramp out here, the back. Brian and I and Lion member Blake Henry, representing the Lions, we took another look at the ramp, and the Lions Club and Brian have pledged to us that they will maintain this ramp. They feel that it can be repaired now. Brian had even suggested that we have the painters come over, the prisoners come over. We'd have to get some paint, Tom, and paint the ramp so that it looks nice for the hospital. The hospital, for the pancake place. Now, is this a long-term? I mean, what's long-term? But after reviewing and hearing what Blake said and the Lions are willing to do, we feel that that ramp could be maintained for the foreseeable future. I know I had a friend who, since passed, would come up from Bedford. He was in a wheelchair. And every pancake, every Saturday of the Maple Festival, once a year, they bring him up that ramp, and it was, appropriate then. So is it going to last forever? No, but we are looking at short-term solutions as we move forward with perhaps more long-term things. Now, I just wanted to point out for everybody watching and listening here, the past councils, we did make an effort. The side ramp here, we had a licensed engineer design that ramp, and we had a contractor build the ramp. We thought at the time that we were doing a good thing, and in retrospect, I think we did do a good thing. There's some problems with it. One of the reasons the ramp couldn't go forward, we were told, is because it would encroach upon the steps where the daycare center would come up. It would be like a hazard, and so they had to take it going out the back. But I'm just pointing out here that things have been done with past councils to improve the accessibility of this building. So we have 2 ramps here. The restrooms were modified. Tom, my buddy here, said, I didn't realize we had in the men's restroom, there's handles. You can sit down on a toilet, handicap accessibility. Is it perfect? No. The ladies' restroom, if you haven't been in, I have. There's a table, a nice table. There's a changing station. There's 3 or 4 stalls. There is a handicap accessible bathroom, and there's dividers between all the toilets. Now, we were talking, and I have to tell you, I was very touched by our treasurer when he came over here and explained the dilemma that he has with his daughter going into a men's restroom and not having a family restroom. So we felt, Brian and I and Blake, and we would like to propose that we change that into a family bathroom even before this festival. Blake said, I didn't realize it, the Lions have a lady, a restroom monitor or attendant that's on call the whole time they're serving pancakes. And if there would be a situation where someone would need a family restaurant, that lady would be available. She could go in and wait until the restroom was cleared. And then whoever needed the facilities for the handicap type situation with a boy or a girl, whatever it would be. And you said all we'd have to do at this point would be put a lock on it and put a sign. This is just something for council to consider because we had a good meeting with Blake and we really are interested in the handicap accessibility here. But I just wanted to point that out to you. I've been, since this whole thing took place, was just in a Wendy's men's restroom. In fact, I took a picture of it. Their restroom, and this is a building that's open for public consumption, is certainly it's smaller than what we have here, even in the men's restroom. All they have is a toilet and 2 handles. So is it perfect? No. But I just got the feeling maybe the building or former councils were being slapped down a little bit for not being interested or not being concerned in handicap accessibility. The last thing I'll say on this score is we have a group of students, a school that comes over here from the county. And many of these students, I've been told, for pancakes, have handicap problems, whether wheelchairs or crutches. Pat Murray has collected tickets here for the Lions financially, taking the money, maybe 20 years or plus, has never, ever, ever had a complaint that our bathrooms were not adequate. I asked Patty if she had ever received a complaint from anybody that the bathrooms here, they had problems utilizing the bathrooms. And Patty, have you ever had a complaint? And we asked Blake and the Lions, have the Lions Club ever had a complaint about these restrooms? People couldn't utilize them. And the answer was no. So I'm not trying to diffuse. I'm not trying to put the brakes on any future projects. But I felt as a former council member who was involved in some of this stuff, Terry was, Tom was, Ron was. I'm just going to defend a little bit what has been done in the past, and maybe things aren't quite as bad as what we think. Mr. Mayor, your report.
I don't have one at this time.
What about the computers and the?
That's on for down.
Okay.
I have a comment on the police. So this afternoon, I received a text message from the hospital. We had a police officer on duty today. I believe it was Mark, Officer Craig. He deserves a big thank you. He escorted a family to the ER today and wouldn't leave till he knew the family member was okay and that all the staff were in good shape and everything was handled. Very nice guy. So kudos to Officer Craig and the mayor for his staff. The hospital really appreciated him.
Thank you, Karen. It's always nice to hear about our employees, our police officers. Thank you for bringing it up. I think we all appreciate hearing it. Junior Council report, Olivia.
March events for high school include March 5th through 7th was regional band. March 7th was the Maple Princess Assembly. March 8th, the SATs took place in the LGI. March 10th, 9th grade went to the courthouse for a tour. March 11th, which was today, was the Real Deal activity, which was 7th and 11th grade. Along with today, we had a bus evacuation. March 12th through 14th is regional chorus. March 19th, the Tech Ed is going on an industry tour. March 20th, there's an ACM tour. Along with March 20th, there's the jazz band is going to nursing homes around the community. March 21st is a human services trip. March 23rd through 25th, the FFA is going to an SLLC conference. March 26th is the Maple Festival cleanup, which includes FFA, Tech Ed, Student Council, FBLA, and NHS. That's all.
How about some real hard questions for Olivia? We want to make her think here tonight. Good report. How did the West Virginia band go? The students went down there, you reported a month or two ago. Did that go pretty good? And there were how many from Meyersdale? 3?
2. One
Two.
from Salisbury.
Okay, so 2 plus 1.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Any questions of Olivia? Thank you. Okay, Emergency Management Coordinator, Kevin is not here. The Emergency Action Plan engineer to complete. I told Patty I just signed a check this evening for Kevin to 800 and some bucks. So I'm assuming.
It was completed and was signed, Kevin took it, so
Okay, so
do with it what he needs to do.
we'll have to just be sure with, I would think if we were still in violation, Kevin Broadwater would be here. So, but, so I'm assuming that's been taken care of, folks. Engineer, none here. Solicitor, Mr. Markey.
Yep, so our hearing for 326 Salisbury Street is set for March 28th, 2025. I would ask council to allow us to make a motion to allow us to apply for the county funds as soon as the judge makes that order on the 28th. It'll save us probably 2 to 3 weeks in timing. With the weather changing, I think it would work out good to get the county involved right away to get it down.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
Okay, Ron and, okay, question or motion? Motion. Karen has seconded it. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous.
I do have a question. So on 12/12, we went for injunctive relief.
Mhm.
What is 325? Because site possession,
Yeah,
site control?
so the judge, under the Blighted Property Act, we are considered the conservator.
Right.
And as the conservator at this point, we're allowed to take the site, we're allowed to prevent it from getting worse. But to actually physically get deed possession of it is what we need, because the county will not give us the funding unless we have deed possession. The landowner has refused to sign over that possession, so we need the judge to sign it. So it's the final step. It usually doesn't happen because, quite frankly, I think every other property in the past, the landowner has worked with us on. So almost everyone.
Well, the Slammers didn't.
Well, no, that was gone. So the next one is the Vietnam Memorial and the Little League are both done. I have the maps for both and that are approved, and also the deeds with me to give to Patty. So those can be sent out. So that's all taken care of and done. The community center contract, I need the president and the mayor to sign, or I think both, he had to sign that tonight.
I'm sorry, what was that one?
The community center DAR contract,
Okay.
because they have signed it and they've also given me the proofs of insurance.
Okay.
And then once I get that, I can turn that in for the COVID funding, but also I'll make sure Patty gets copies of it.
Did we see anything further on the additional scope we're adding to that? Any
Not-
numbers?
Not yet, no. At least I haven't. The employment description, I spoke with Roland, and he is good for our Thursday committee meeting to either be here in person or by video. It's going to partially depend on his availability because I think he's supposed to be in Pittsburgh about the same time. So
Couldn't we just tell him that we want to wait and do all? I thought we decided at the committee meeting, we were gonna wait for the job descriptions, and when we start to renegotiate, you were on speakerphone, maybe you missed it, and we just wanted to wait and do all this the first of the year because the contract,
then you should vote on it
vote on what?
to do that.
Oh, right, we will do that. It was a discussion that, and there didn't seem to be much opposition, that we were going to just
No, and
wait and do
that's-
it all at one time, because the negotiations, at least when we did them before, we started in January or February and had the contract done by March. So,
If you want to do it that way, I would just say you should do a motion and a vote tonight, so
yeah,
we
and then
defer.
you could tell, could we have a motion to do, we just wait for the job descriptions and then discuss this once as part of the negotiations, which is going to really be starting in 9 or 10 months. Ron, you probably shouldn't make a motion because your wife's involved, so
Right.
will somebody, Terry makes that motion, is there a second? Tom seconds it. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? You can announce to Roland that we'll
Yep.
start this under our negotiations in January.
The Grant Street wall, we had the meeting with PennDOT. There was a fair showing from PennDOT. They refused to take ownership of that wall. So we have two choices. One is we either need to seek funding and deal with the wall ourselves, or the other one is to fight with PennDOT. And I think at the end of the day, what's going to happen is if we do fight with PennDOT, we're going to end up seeking funding anyways, because they're staunchly against it. I do think between Stefano's office and maybe reaching out to our U.S. congressman and senator would be a good idea. It is U.S. Business US 219. That portion of the road was moved during the Great Depression, which is how the wall got there, and it was federally funded, so there is potential for that. But I would suggest that we look at funding to be able to stabilize that wall. Let's see, I'll report on that in executive since we're gonna do that. The school upstairs, Patty said, is cleaned out. They were sent a letter, so that, I guess that's done. HRI Paving is unwilling to take the offer that we made. So we're gonna have to discuss that more probably this evening in executive session. High Street Bridge, you guys saw the reports. PennDOT is working with EADS to give that to CSX, so we'll see where that goes, and hopefully it's done soon. The police agreement should be done Salisbury has reviewed the old agreement and the price increase. They haven't formally approved it yet, but my understanding is that they will soon. They were going to pass a new ordinance, but they still have the old ordinance in place, so there shouldn't be any issue there. I don't know if the mayor's heard anything new on that or not.
The last I heard that, it was Flowers,
Yeah,
was they were waiting for Flowers to reach out to you.
yep, and he did that. The end of last week. The refuse contract, Harbaugh is proposing that we keep the current rate in place. And I have informed them that council suggested a 3-year extension. So if council was willing, I would suggest you make a motion tonight to keep the rate in place with our current contract, but we extend that contract 3 years.
Discussion? Motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Tom makes the motion. Clarence, do you want to second it? Clarence, are you there?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Thanks, buddy. You gotta call him Clarence. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thanks, Clarence. We're gonna keep you in this meeting here.
I sent out the MMA board descriptions for those duties. That comes directly from the municipal authority planning code. So that's where those come from. That's what the suggested duties are. And I don't know if there's any additions. I know it might seem lengthy and broad, but I think it does cover what those duties really are.
Is that it?
Nope. We already covered that. The last thing is with the signage, I forgot to bring the maps for Brian tonight, but I will email Patty tomorrow morning so that Brian has the maps that show exactly where all the signs go. That is it.
I have one
Okay.
question for you. So on the flood control grant, we'd really like to get that project done this summer. And
Correct.
he would like to do it like in July when it's dry, so it's easier to get equipment in and out. Where are we?
I just saw the contract you guys sent out the other day, and my question is, who is going to bid that out?
I think that's him. I think
Okay.
he has to do it all.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I think the grant includes money for all the administrative.
That's what I was
engineering.
hopeful of.
It's
Yeah.
a big,
Yeah,
it's like 20% of it.
yep.
I mean, while we're on this, at the committee meeting, I said I talked to the Corps of Engineers, and he said you couldn't use two federal grants together. Well, I talked to him today. I think you sent him some information, didn't you, Patty? So he had looked at that, and he said he wanted some more information on the grant that Karen got. So Karen is gonna call the Corps and explain what, this grant entails. And then he'd like to have a Zoom meeting with some council members, so there's a possibility we can, fuse the two together.
Are we going to put some type of a cap on this? For example, if we, the total cost, I believe, was $409,000. And when you add our share, or actually the grant that we received, assuming that's it, we have to pay $187,000. Are we going to try to put a cap on this of maybe not going over $309,000, which is the grant and our match? I mean, how are we going to decide exactly how much we're going to be able to have done? I mean, I personally am opposed to spending $187,000 of borough money on this thing. I mean, if we can fix some of it or a portion of it, how are we going to come to this resolution?
Well, it's unfortunate that nothing was done for so many years and it's gotten so much worse is part of our issue.
I mean, I know the Corps grant, there's a matching fee to that too, but the way I understood from him, that could be a year or two down the road, but if we're looking at this grant this summer, I mean, we might not be able to wait. I mean, that's something we'll have to talk with them and see what they have to say.
What's the expiration on this one?
It is July 30th, 2028. It's at the top of the thing, top of the page. July 30th or June 30th, July 1st, but it's mid-2028 is when it expires.
Well, why don't we invite Kevin to our workshop and really talk through the numbers? And then see if he can put it out to bid with the timing, see who we can get to use. And then, he puts it out to bid and we see what the numbers come in.
Would you put that on the agenda also, Patty, please, for April?
Mark, are there any stipulations as to how they access that?
Yeah, there's actually, there's in place right-of-ways and access points. Yep.
I know you had said we closed the bottom down, so we're gonna have to fill to get in there.
Mhm.
I didn't know if that would affect anything or not.
It shouldn't, but shouldn't works.
Okay, can we move on? We're going to discuss this further in April. You're done, Mark?
Yep.
Code enforcement, PMCA. I did have an email. We had a request about changing the zoning up on Upper Main Street, but Ed responded. I think I sent that email around to everybody. I don't really want to get into it tonight unless somebody else does. We could put that on a list for another time. The municipal, the municipal authority. I guess we should do number 2 on here first, which would be reapprove the MMA Board of Member description duties, solicitor to prepare. So we have a copy of those. I read over them, and I mean, at this point, I would say let's push them through so we can advertise and try to fill those two positions in the April meeting. So thoughts on approving what Mark has prepared for the MMA job description, I guess you'd say it, those appointed.
Looks good.
Thank you, Tom and Ron. All those in favor say, I thought you nodded. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? And that one's unanimous. Okay, now, as you know, advertised before, Louis Martin and Sandy Miller did both resign from the MMA. We received their resignations and we accepted them at our meeting, our special meeting in February. So now I'll ask for a motion that we advertise to fill those two vacancies on the MMA. I would suggest when we do that, that we put the expiration dates on each one. Like there's one to expire, and I don't know what they are, but you could find that out, Patty, and then see what, stir the pot and see what comes to the surface. Could we have a motion then to advertise?
Make a motion.
Thank you, Ron.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Tom. All those in favor of that, say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous also. And the final item here, the ordinance resolution policy regarding serving on both Borough Council and the Meyersdale Municipal Authority simultaneously.
And I have that resolution with me. It just states that the borough appoints members upon lapse of terms and resignation. The borough desires to decrease the opportunity of conflicts of interest to arise. And then it says that no appointed or elected borough council member or mayor may be appointed to the Meyersdale Municipal Authority Board. It's a very simple, short and sweet resolution.
You didn't email that around. Would everyone feel comfortable about approving that this evening? Then we'd have to advertise it. Would you want to let Mark send you a copy and read it before we approve it tonight and approve? This isn't as urgent as the other two we did. What do you want to do? Are you okay with approving it tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about your comfort level.
I mean, I didn't really read it, but it sounds like it's
not very lengthy. Kept it short and sweet.
Clarence, do you want to make a motion? We approve that resolution?
Yes, I'll make a motion on that.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second? Tom seconds that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Now that needs to be advertised, is that right?
No, it's a resolution that just needs signed.
Okay, we'll sign it tonight. Street foreman.
I don't have a whole lot. She was saying about her crew coming in on the 26th for cleanup. We have the sweeper coming in on the 1st of April to do the streets. We'll have to figure out what all streets want to be done. It's gonna be a lot more anti-skid than there was the last time they were here because of the winter. The only other thing I really have is I want to know what your thoughts are on that sweeper down there. We have it sitting in our shop. It's taking up space. We had talked about this quite a while ago, getting rid of it for scrap, but nobody seems to want it. I mean, is there some thoughts as to what we can do with it? What, to get it out of the shop so we have room? I mean, we've had people that wanted to haul it, but to pay them to haul it, you may as well just give it to them for the amount of what they want to haul.
Isn't there someone, like I know, had a neighbor out there that would take all kind of salvage metal and recycle it?
It's gonna take a rollback or something to haul it
But it had to be worth a fair amount as far as scrap.
the last time I checked, it was like $1,100.
For scrap.
No, that was quite a while ago, yeah.
Well, that's pretty good. I think somebody would take it off. Mark, how do you suggest we propose?
That's almost right at the limit where it has to be bid out. $1,200 is the.
Now, like I say, that was probably a year ago. I don't know what it would go for now. I don't scrap very.
Hey, Clarence, you want to hit the mute, buddy?
Why don't you call Cantner and see if they bring a roll-off over, would it fit in a roll-off?
I did call them.
They won't do it?
They won't pick up. If you deliver, that's fine, but they won't come pick up.
We call it like a bracket.
Yep.
And then split the difference.
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll keep thinking about it, and maybe we can talk off the meeting and try to come up with some solutions. If anybody has an idea, anything else, Brian?
No, I was thinking about taking it down, and putting it down the bottom just to get it out of our way, but then you take a chance on people tearing it apart, taking parts off, you know. So we'll just let it in there until we figure out what we want to do.
We even report on these lights.
Jeff, I got one thing.
Oh,
here. Brian said about the street sweeping. There was an individual asked about if he could get some of that street sweepings. I said, I don't know. I'll bring it up to council.
Well, they take it down and dump it
Yeah.
on the MMA property, but whether, I have no clue. Mark, can we give that stuff away? It's,
Yeah, you should give it away before you take it down, though, to make it easy.
Dump it right on that property.
Yeah.
Okay.
can you tell them
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we'll try to work that out?
Okay.
Thank you, Terry. Anything else?
I do have a report on the lights. Leroy did get back to us. For the Borough building, it's a proposal to replace light fixtures above the handicap entry, which is out here on the side of the building with new LED fixtures. That estimate is $393.84. That's just for the side. And then this proposal is to convert the two wall mount fixtures out front from the CFL fluorescent lamps to LED and replace the damaged ceiling mount hanging fixture with a low profile square LED fixture. That estimate, or that cost estimate is $489.79 for that one. He has pictures and stuff. If you guys want to look at them, they can look at the fixtures.
I think Patty sent that
Did
around.
you send that out? Okay.
So I looked, I didn't print it off, I don't think, but I looked at it. I read it.
And then his last proposal was for converting the 38 light post fixtures from the high pressure sodium lamps to LEDs, which that would be on main. Then all the lamps would match. That is $5,638.24 on that. So that's the three proposals. I don't know what you guys want to do with them.
Well, I would suggest, go ahead, Karen, you first.
Okay, I have a couple of thoughts. Out front, I know, Tom, you had said, those were originally on the building and to keep those lights and stuff. I have a thought. So the new windows are gonna be bronze. And the front, the whole entrance is bronze. And those lights are really old. And I think it would be really nice if we got two new wall mount bronze lights for on the front of the building so that the whole front of the building is bronze lights, bronze entrance, bronze, everything's bronze so that it all matches and we could get a pretty light. I just bought lights for our building and I think honestly for about the same amount as what he is saying to convert those, I think we could buy some nice lights that might really be attractive on the front of the building. As far as the street lights, I think if we're gonna spend $5,600 or whatever, I think we ought to get another quote and just make sure we're in the right ballpark. I don't know how often we get another quote, but if we're spending that amount of money, I'd like to see us get another quote. That's my thoughts.
We got that out for bid anyhow for over 5,000.
No,
It's 12,000.
it's 12,000 for phone quotes and 21, I think, now, or 22, I can't remember the bid amount.
Well, I would say $5,000 is a lot. I kind of tend to approving this tonight, letting Leroy move forward with it. We've had him do just about everything here, electrical. he knows everything. He's given us breaks in the past. When the lights, he put a whole new timer system on the lights down at the playground. There's lights that are burned out, and Brian can't fix them
Well, we're
because
holding
it's,
off. We're holding off because it's not the bulb, it's the ballast.
but we need somebody else to change it.
The ballast, and that's why we're not changing them, due to the fact we're waiting to see if you want to convert them, because as he explained, why would you spend the money to put a ballast in and then redo the whole light?
But we, see, here's where you get into this. We had asked him for a proposal, we read it, and now it's public information. And then if you go try to get somebody else, then they're gonna undercut Leroy by however much, unless you wanna cut it all off and just rebid it, or just bid it. But I think we've asked Leroy, I think it's a fair amount. I mean, this electrical stuff is expensive. I would probably urge council to move forward with it, and then our own workers can change these lights on Main Street. But that's, Karen and I disagree a little bit. Let's hear what somebody else says.
I personally say Leroy's done it all. He's done all these lights. He knows the ins and outs. So why not let him?
Clarence, what do you think?
I don't know, can't we just repair the ones that need repaired?
Well, I think the problem is, Clarence, that we're trying to get into a situation where to repair them, we need these ballasts all the time, and we want to get away from all that. So it would be a one bulb job. The bulb burns out, these guys could repair it, plus it would match the lights on Center Street. I think that was the reason behind all this, wanting to change everything. Shane, what do you think about it?
Sounds good.
You would go with?
It don't matter. Whatever you guys decide, sounds good.
That was definitive.
How about it?
Well, you know what? Hearing no other decision, I'm going to ask for a motion that we approve these lights and allow Leroy to get started on it. If there's no motion, if there's no second, then it just won't fly. But I'm going to ask for that motion right now.
What about replacing the lights on the front of the building?
That's separate. That's separate. This is just for the Main Street. Is there a motion?
Yes, I make a motion, let Leroy go ahead and do them.
Thank you, Ron. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Terry. All those in, let's do a roll call on this since there seems to be, Patty, let's do a roll call tonight on, because it is a $5,000. That's a fair chunk of change, right, Denise? So let's,
Mr. Ackerman?
Yes.
Mr. Bayer?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mrs. Nagy?
No.
Mr. Irwin?
yes.
Mr. Smith?
As long as we get the old bulbs back, the 38 bulbs that are worth $20-30 a piece.
Well, there are bulbs here. We would just have to make that, yeah, you'll have to take care of that. So is that a yes?
Also looking for all the outlets. We're supposed to go back and get down. Well, they need to be able to get in before people get electrocuted. But yeah, that's $130 a piece. That's for everything, right? The labor and the parts and.
No.
For changing the balances and the bulbs for all these lights.
No, we're talking about Main Street, which is $5,000.
Yeah, so it's 38 poles.
Yeah,
So that's
gotcha.
100 and some, yeah.
So
I
that's
see.
everything.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So Karen voted no. Did anybody else? Was it?
Jenny's not here, so,
Okay, so Karen voted no. It's not unanimous,
okay.
but we did the roll call vote. Now, if we want to discuss those other lights, I mean, I kind of agree maybe with Karen on this. Let's try to find some new lights that would look historic and just move forward on that.
He did say he could possibly find something close to match those or more decorative, or whatever you guys want to do. I just gotta let him know so he can.
I can do some research to our next workshop and show you some pictures of some things.
Karen, that would be very nice, and then we could maybe move forward with that at that time also. So anything else on the lights or Brian? So can you call Patty? Patty, can you call Leroy and let him know that we did approve it? And
Yeah, and you only approved the Main Street ones, not these others.
correct. And those others are going to be on hold. Karen said she would research something like that would look historic, but okay. Mama.
So we are going to have a farmer's market. Brian Berkebile met with Patty last week to secure the playground. So as of this time, we're still working in the committee on this, but it's looking like every Thursday from 8 to 1, starting probably that first week in June, going to the end of September, and it will be every week from what we're gathering now. We're getting some good feedback from vendors, so we're hopeful that we can make it a weekly thing again. We're also working on bikes around town, and we're putting a QR code with either a flag or a license plate on them so that it can become like a little walking tour for people to find the different bikes. And we're also having a speaker next Tuesday morning at the Somerset Trust meeting room in the basement at 9 a.m. And he will be on computer fraud and identity theft and things like that. So anybody that has any real interest in that, he is from Somerset Trust that will be speaking about that. But it's a big thing, and hopefully some people show up for that. So, yes.
Related to that, under our account, we have Maple City Farmers Market. We have $1,268.53 in that account. What is that to be allocated for?
There's fees that we have to pay every year down there. I think it's maybe $70, $80. But last year, they gave the farmer's market $1,000 and they didn't use it.
We didn't do it last year.
No, well, yeah, but it was given, whatever, last year, year before, and it wasn't used. It was given to the Merchants Association, I think.
So are you saying there's money for maybe new signage or something like that for us to promote it? Okay, as the committee is meeting March 30th, I believe is their next meeting. So maybe at the April meeting, if there's a need for money, I don't know if there is at this point, but we'll certainly take that and see what we can do with it to promote Meyersdale and get more people coming to the farmers market. Thank you.
Thanks, Denise. Anything else from Mama? Okay.
I should say something. So we had talked at the workshop. Chloe Thomas had come to us for the Brooke Kirchner group that comes up from Frostburg State in May. So Denise and I had a conversation, and she's taking that back to the merchants to see what project they would like to do. They come up for an evening in May, and so they'll get back to us. I didn't think council had any suggestions really, so I punted it to Denise for us.
Anything else? Okay, the public library, anything from that? There's no one here. I guess their Death by Chocolate went well. A smashing success. Meyersdale Community Events. Any report? Jenny's not here. We have like the Easter egg coming up, Easter egg hunt. I don't know what we're going to do there. Yes, Jeffy.
Yeah, I go to the meeting, the Easter egg hunt is April 19th, at 11 a.m. down at the playground.
Now, with Jenny out of commission, possibly, and Clarence is on your committee, he's, do we have a plan to get the candy and hide the candy and can you handle that, Jeff, or?
Yeah, we have people doing that, getting the candy.
So your committee is still functioning, maybe Jenny can coordinate it, from bed or something.
We got that taken care of.
So you're comfortable with it? Do you need any help with anything?
Yep, we got it taken care of.
Are you gonna need the bathrooms, Jeff? Are they gonna need the bathrooms down there?
Probably, I can never up down there.
Well, we got, have the water authority put the meter back.
Yeah.
I thought we didn't have that on. It was such a quick event. I mean, the kids are there and it's over in 20 minutes.
It makes.
But we used to not hook up the water, But what did you do the last 2 years? Anybody know? Did they hook up?
We did.
Did they, Terry?
I'm pretty sure we did.
I'm not sure either. Whatever.
Whatever, I mean, you guys.
It's gonna be, April 19th, I'll probably be warm at that time of the year.
I mean, you're gonna need it done anyway, so are you okay now to stay? Could we do it quick right now?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna interrupt the meeting. Shane has to go for an emergency. Take it away.
All right, we had Advantage Computer come up, and they looked at our computer systems in the police cruisers. Starting September 25 this year, Microsoft will no longer support Windows 10. Current computers we have in our police cruisers. So they will need to be upgraded. We have a quote here for a brand new, it's a new 2025 model. It's touchscreen. It has a 3-year hardware warranty with it. For the computer and installation, approximate installation, because that will depend on what car mount we'll need and the charging dock station for each car. Now, he's suggesting that we get 2 of them. I think the new cruiser will not need updated. It would be the other 2. His suggestion is that we would get 2 in case one of the other ones go down. Wouldn't matter to me either way if we went with 1 or 2. We're definitely going to need 1, at least 1. You're looking at around $5,000 a unit. But we definitely will need 1 for sure. He is recommending that we get 2 in case one of the other ones would go down. If one of the other ones go down, then we only have 1 police car then. So I'm just throwing that out there. We have to get these.
Well, if we're gonna have a police department, we have to upgrade them. So my only question would be, do you want to get 1 or 2? Shane, you're the mayor.
I would prefer to have the 2 with his suggestion.
For safety reasons, and I mean, if you have 2, like one's up in Salisbury and one's down here in Meyersdale, since we're gonna be moving into Salisbury, could you argue that point that we would get 2? I don't know.
I would think that we would need 2. I'm not saying we need 2 now. We definitely need 1 now, or we will fail that audit. So we need 1 now. We could wait and purchase another one later in the year. I mean,
I just get them both. The price may go up. It'd be easier for him to do them both. And you've been satisfied with Frank's service as far as keeping them running?
Yeah.
I mean,
Frank,
he put them in back 7 years ago.
Frank's top notch.
Or
Frank
6.
Valentine's top notch.
You won't go wrong with him.
No, he's top notch. So, I mean, I just wanted to propose that's his proposal.
Well, let's have a discussion or a motion. So you would, as mayor, head of the police department, you would recommend.
I would recommend getting 2.
Then we're covered.
But they are around $5,000 a unit, so.
Well,
But
I mean, Terry volunteered to sell peaches and subs if need be.
Terry's a really good-hearted guy.
Well, you know what, I'm gonna ask for a motion then. You've heard what the mayor recommended. It's hard for me to disagree with Shane in something like this. It's so important to our police officers.
the mayor knows what we need, so I'm gonna make a motion that we got 2.
And a second, Tom. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, that's unanimous.
I appreciate it.
Do you have anything else? Nothing?
I
Okay.
am good. I have emergency.
Well, thanks for coming in this.
I need to step out.
Okay, see you, Shane. Be safe out there, buddy. Okay, did we finish with the community events committee? The Renaissance, anything there? Council committee, standing committee, we just did the police, that's taken care of. The personnel, Ginny's not here. About these holiday bonuses. At our finance committee meeting, I had said we do this one way for holiday bonuses for our employees. And then Tom had indicated another way that we do them. And that would be like, we figured 25 cents an hour for hours worked, and then we figured 20 cents an hour. We didn't go any lower than that. So you should all have a copy of this. Patty was going to give this, so I mean, the incentive would be to get a bonus, is that you work more hours, especially for our police officers. But that's what we came up with here. The figures are on here. This would be public information. There's nothing, right to know would be appropriate. But I thought after, Tom, did you say you would be more comfortable maybe with the 20 cents?
20 cents per hour work.
And then if we approve this tonight, we'll do a roll call on this also. Roland, I'm sure will abstain. Then, Mark, maybe you could reach out to Roland and just, this is what we've done. It's never been done in a long, long time. We're doing it for our employees. And then, if he has any questions, he could come back to you. So let's have some discussion on this. So we're not just cramming it through. I had proposed something different, but I would be comfortable with either the 25 cents an hour, but I think there was more of a consensus. Terry, did you say you would be in favor of 20 cents? Yes. And Tom is. Well, could we have a motion then, just to move forward with? Maybe she had to go to the bathroom. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll make the motion, give them 20 cents per hour work. Gotta work though. I'm screwed. Yeah.
And a second. Okay, Terry seconds it. Let's do it this way. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed?
I abstain.
Make note, please, Patty, that Ron Ackerman did abstain due to the nepotistic appearance there. So, so that's passed, and that'll be effective this Christmas, this holiday.
If approved by the union.
Yes. Thank you. So we are slowly moving through some things here. Terry took care of the finances. Refuse, we've taken care of that. The flood control farmers market, that's been discussed. Job descriptions, that's been discussed. Social media policy, I'd love to take that off there. We're not getting anywhere on that unless we have a problem with it.
We'll take care of it this coming month since we got rid of crap.
Okay, ADA restrooms and grant applications. I think Karen has a report for us.
So Mark, I have a question. So does anything, to your knowledge, in this building meet ADA requirements as required by the federal government?
No, the bathrooms, even though they have handles, they're required to have enough space to be able to get a wheelchair or other device in there and allow you to get close enough to the bathroom and to move over. If you look at I've never been in the women's bathroom, but in the men's bathroom, I know that you cannot get a wheelchair into that space. So I know that doesn't meet the standard. And I don't think either the ramps.
You should look at the women's restroom before you.
I said I haven't looked at it.
I said, but you should before you comment on, that's pretty big in there.
It's not 67 inches clear. And the handles have to be towards the wheelchair, or else it has to be the push buttons up on top. Then you have to have the required sink, and it depends how many we have to have, depends on how they're going to look at the loads. So it'll go by maximum load. So it might even have to have multiples. So bottom line is, after we met, I'm not someone that likes to just do something hodgepodge. And I gave it a lot of thought, and we had some suggestions, and I think we need a comprehensive plan. I think we need an engineer to come over, take a look at this building. We plan to keep this building now for the long term. I think doing things hodgepodge, you never know what you have. So a friend of mine recommended an engineering firm that's highly accredited in Somerset. I did bring them over here. We did meet. I have a proposal in front of me that provides that they will come over and meet, and they would evaluate our building for code deficiencies, especially those related to ADA compliance in this building. They do a walkthrough, make an assessment, they do field measuring, prep and as-built set of plans for the building, perform a thorough review of the 2018 IBC code, the 2018 IEBC code, 2018 ANSI code, determine the level of compliance required for this type of government facility. They would prepare a summary outlining the alterations required to comply with the above listed codes, and they would attend one meeting on site to review it all. They do have some exclusions, and they would do the scope of work on a time and materials basis not to exceed $5,700. And we have a contract here that we can review and would need signed. So what this would do for us is then we can use this. I've talked to Steve. I know he sent us all a letter that said we had to have everything back to him early April. The CDBG grants don't actually go until October. He would actually submit the grant for us. But if we had this information, we have several different grant opportunities. So we could apply for multiple grants. But at least legally, then we would know what we need to work towards. I think we could have, a 3 to 5 year plan. I don't think we have to do this overnight, but it probably is going to be a mix of public and private funds to get this building where it needs to be from an ADA standpoint. So if anybody else on council wants to get another engineer to come over and give us a price, that's fine. But I think we ought to have a comprehensive plan of what we legally need to do to get this building up to code. So that's my report.
What is the name of the firm?
Somerset Engineering. It was in our meeting minutes.
Okay. You know what, I would probably suggest that we move forward with this. I shouldn't say this. I was expecting it to be a lot more than what you just said.
So this is to evaluate.
Correct.
Then to do drawings will be another sum. Then if we get to the point you're permitting, then those are big numbers. But no, I thought this was quite reasonable.
Well, discussion.
Just when he comes over, that we all know so we can meet with them also.
Do you have a copy for every?
I just have mine and yours. I can email it to everybody if they want, or Patty can scan it in and send it around.
I'll read this later. I'll pass that around and, well, it's it's a start. I would almost lean towards voting to support this with the understanding, like Ron said, that maybe we could at least meet with them before they start and just hear, what they have to say, some of their concerns.
I don't think they'll come over here again for free. I mean,
There you have
they're
it.
business people.
Do we want to take a moment and read this? Karen can email copies around, and then we could discuss it at the April meeting. Then, we just are getting this, good due diligence for council members. You could argue we would read this, study it, and then they have questions, not necessarily for the engineers, but for Karen, or questions among ourselves. How does council want to move forward? Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion that we accept Karen's proposal. And if there's no motion, or if it dies for lack of a second, or if it's voted down, then at least we'll know. And then I would say the next step would be we would hold off on this and discuss it publicly at our committee meetings. So is there a motion to accept this as proposed by Karen tonight, as opposed to discussing it, reading it, whatever it is, Thursday, April the 3rd. So is there a motion? Going once? Is anybody willing to make a motion on this now? Going twice? Okay, it dies for lack of a motion. Patty, I would, and I don't think Karen people were opposed to this. I'm not, but I think they just want time to review this. This was just kind of popped on us tonight. So would you please put this on the agenda, both April committee meetings and the other? And then, yeah, if you could get a copy, email copy or on Karen.
If you give that to Patty, she can just scan it to everybody if that's okay.
That is absolutely okay. Anything else on that score, Karen? New business, any announcements? I'd like to try to move through here as quick as we can, because you say we need a short executive session. Do you want to announce what it's going to encompass?
I will be get there.
I was going to do it under announcements.
She has it under.
Okay, no announcements. Approval, temporary use permits for the Pennsylvania Maple Festival.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Title II requirements, Americans with Disability Act. Do you have anything further on that, Karen? Should we leave that on, or can we take that off the agenda?
I think it can come off.
Okay, Patty, that can be removed. Borough assistance with removing bushes at the train station. Jenny had asked me via text if we could get our borough workers to move some bushes for the Historical Society at the train station. And I don't know if ever there being a precedent for that, for crying out loud. We have our own work to do here. But what does council think about this?
I have a related question that we can add to the workshop. I'm starting to be asked, so we want people to keep their properties looking good in the borough, but now we've taken the yard waste site away from them. What are they to do? Not everybody has a truck and trailer. So what are we providing? What accommodations? I mean, most towns have a solution. I even thought, does Summit Township have something, that we could have an agreement with them or something? I mean, I think we need to provide, like I say, if we want people to keep their properties cleaned up.
Garbage man will take yard waste, but you have to have it bagged separately. And like twigs and things like that, you have to have them bundled.
Can we put that on for the workshop? I think we need to come up with a solution though.
Holiday decorations.
Okay, so I sent a spreadsheet around. I do not have a price for the shipping. The shipping comes out of Hickory, North Carolina. It could be a bit expensive, but my proposal is to come in under budget. And I did see in the Leckambie is beautification?
Yes.
Okay, that there is more money in it than there was. So process is after Brian approves, these will all fit on the poles. They're lightweight. That's what's really going to be nice. And I think with our budget, with the $3,600 we got in grant money, and then we had approved $7,500 out of our trust, the Leckambie Trust, we can get 36 new pieces for the holidays, and that comes into $10,508.16. So we'll be under budget. They have to be ordered by 3/25, so I'm asking Patty to do that. We are looking, they're going to be much smaller. They're going to be small. Some of them are going to be like 18 inches, they're gonna be small. They are warm white bulbs, so that'll match all the other, hopefully, lights we have in town, which makes it all look nice. So do you need any other information from me, Patty? Brian just has to make sure that they'll mount. It comes with the mount, the brackets, a 5-year warranty.
There was one of these that Brian said that it looked like they were the Nativity Star. The mount looks like it's going on a telephone pole. It looks like it's banded on. He didn't know if they would be able to do that with these poles.
Yeah, that's the only one I have a question about, is that one.
Her information's on the back page. Can you call her?
I was just looking, if I could make a phone call to this
Nina?
Nina
Mhm.
and get some more information. that would-
But we gotta move on that, because like I say, it has to be ordered by the 25th, or the price goes up a chunk.
Can we do that, Brian?
I'll call him tomorrow.
And get with Karen and move forward? Okay. Bike race approval.
Give some approval to do that, or
Do what?
are you gonna make a motion to approve me to order these things, or?
I guess we,
Even though you approved the amounts before, you should still approve the order.
motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
Tom and Karen, right?
Okay.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous.
You're welcome.
Bike race approval of request from Dan Mangus. I don't know anything about that.
I think just all.
Yeah, we got an email.
I must have missed it.
Yeah.
Did you read it, Tom?
Is that the same one as in
Well,
the
then
past?
explain it to us.
And he has a certificate of insurance.
It's a big raise. A lot of fun.
I'm not sure if this is the one he's always talking about, or it's something different, but it's practically the same, I think. Yeah, and they really don't.
If he has the insurance, I mean, certainly we would want to improve it to bring more people into our area. Are they coming into Meyersdale? Is that
They
it?
do. They come down Broadway and Grand Street and all that.
Yeah. I would ask for a motion that we approve it as in past years.
I'll make that motion.
Tom. Clarence, you want to second that one about the bicycle race?
Yes, I'll second that.
Thank you, buddy. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Changing the borough email, could we push this off since we have executive session? I think we have our situation resolved temporarily. We had a little issue with Patty and I and Mark communicating, thanks to Dan and his friend Sean, and Frank Valentine, they were able, it was more of a hack, not in our computer system, but with the emails. Can you explain it, Dan, or don't you want to? Okay, but for right now, maybe in the interest of time, we could keep that on the list. It would be really, for Patty, a big deal to change this email, but maybe we can think about that unless you want to have discussion tonight.
Hotmail is not secure for businesses. And we had trouble. I couldn't get emails in the fall. I missed a lot of emails. Mark can tell you. I mean, it really should be a Gmail account or an Outlook account. The borough asked me to set up a new email address because they couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting emails in the fall from Patty. I don't think it has to happen overnight. We can talk about it at the workshop, but I think it should happen in the next month or two.
Sean had recommended, he's not here tonight, but strongly that we do change, get something more secure.
The only thing I could add is like the two-factor authentication.
Yeah.
I know when
We
I
have
work-
Okta Verify.
Yeah, you can, when you sign in, there would be another, sending a text message, calling, getting a code,
Yeah.
an email code.
Yeah.
It would
Possibly
be,
a VPN down the line.
Yeah. We have the VPN and we have Okta Verify that we use to authenticate every time.
I knew Mark and I had our ID Me accounts frozen. Patty needed another ID Me account to pay the
do the 1099s and it never happened.
and the W-2s. And holy smokes, I get this email. I thought it was from Patty. I gave him everything. My birth date. But then they wanted me to, at least I was smart enough, I didn't give them, they wanted me to send them that 6-digit code. And then something way back here tricked us. I didn't send them that, but they shut my account down and Mark, yours. Did you ever get yours restored?
No, I had to redo it.
I was able to after 3 weeks. Anyway, enough of that. We want to get out of here. Rip wrap, we've discussed that. Any other additional items? We do have an executive session. I'm not sure what it's for, Mark.
Property and legal matters.
Property and legal matters. Could we have a motion to go into executive session at 8:39? Ron and Terry. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you all for coming.